This year marks 11 years selling and recruiting agents to sell insurance. And what I'm going to be doing in this video is kind of giving you a look back, an analysis of my career in the insurance sales game, and pondering over, based on what I know now, what I would do differently knowing what I know now. So if you're thinking or looking to getting some wisdom, some advice, maybe you're a new agent or experienced agent looking to avoid those proverbial landmines, you want to know what is the quickest path to go from point A to point B, this video is for you. Greetings and salutations. My name is David Duford. I own Duford Insurance Group, where we train and recruit agents nationally to sell final expense, face-to-face, and over the phone, as well as ACA, Medicare, and annuity sales agents. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to davidduford.com/FAQ. All right, so let's jump into it. So I've compiled, it looks like, a list of 5 different things that I would do differently had I could start over again with the kind of 2020 perfect knowledge that I have now. And I think videos like this are constructive to you because where you're starting here, you kind of don't know what you don't know. Whereas where I'm in 11 years later than you, I kind of know a little bit about what I didn't know then. And usually it's because of the stupid mistakes I made along the way. So hopefully there's this conveyance of a little wisdom about things that maybe I could have done to hasten my ability to earn a higher income faster, to overcome the, again, hurdles and landmines that are just so prevalent in this business. So hopefully you can learn a thing or two and not make the same mistakes I did. Now, one thing I will say, I don't have any regrets for the dumb mistakes that I did make. After all, some lessons can't be taught. You have to go through hard times, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, life, in a sense, is suffering, it's struggle. And it's in that suffering and struggle that I think we do learn and improve. So you got to embrace the suck to some extent, as they say, because that's what gives life its sense of intrigue. Number 1, humble myself to the experts and follow their system. So one of the biggest problems I had getting started was a sense of arrogance and ego. I had had a personal training business for 5 years. I started in business for myself right out of college, around 21 years of age. And for a kid, and look at myself as a kid then, I had some success early on. I had come up with some marketing that worked really well. I got lots of prospects. I didn't work for the man, right? You know, I was doing okay, not great, but okay. And coming into the insurance business, I brought this kind of perspective that I knew how to market. I knew how to do things, and nobody could tell me how to do otherwise. And this sense of arrogance brought me, I think, a lot of early failure in the business I could have otherwise avoided. You see, I had come up with my own lead piece about a year in that contributed largely to my demise. I questioned the training and the thought process behind agents who legitimately were successful in the business. And when you try to take the simple, which is following directions from somebody who actually had success, and complicate the process, invariably what you find is a harder system to follow with a higher likelihood of failure. And that's what exactly happened to me. I failed out of the business about 12 months in 2012, had to go get a job working for the man. Luckily got back into insurance after I decided that working for somebody else wasn't going to pay the bills, and had that second chance that very few agents actually get. So the kernel of advice here for you guys out there is just do what you're told to do. As long as you find an organization that actually trains its agents to sell successfully, as long as you find a mentor that actually knows experientially how to do the business, please put your blinders on and follow what they do and say. There's a sense of dogmaticism you've got to have. If you're working with somebody who's a seasoned pro that's making money or has made money in the business, it's likely if you just followed the system that they teach, that you'll have a high chance of doing the same. It's when you deviate from following the directions that a lot of problems manifest. A lot of agents think they know better. Or what if they do something different, or if they do something unique or special? Well, unique and special doesn't pay the bills. Being unique and talented is greatly overrated. What pays the bills in this business is actually following a system and sticking to it. Go figure. So, moral of the story, please just do what you're told. Follow the system of a experienced professional in the insurance sales business if you want to give yourself the best chances of success. Number 2, I wish I scaled up lead flow faster. One of the things that really wasn't taught to me was the importance of scale when it comes to lead generation as a form of increasing or scaling your income. What I was exposed to early on was a lot of agents who bought 20 to 25 leads a week and closed half of those leads. So therefore, what I was more obsessed with was how can I increase my closing ratio to such a high percentage where I could close invariably half of my leads and get the same kind of income results that those other special agents out there were doing. Little did I know the closing rates for those agents was basically unheard of. They were literally 2 standard deviations from the norm. They were outliers in the field of really good agents, whereas the average close ratio was more like 20 to 25% of direct mail leads at the time. And what I didn't recognize until I saw it later on in my career is that you didn't have to have a good closing ratio, an exceptionally good closing ratio like those mentioned previously. All you had to do is have a good enough closing ratio, and as long as you could maintain that closing ratio, when you scaled up your lead flow, guess what? Your income would scale naturally with it as well. This, in essence, is what I teach agents nowadays to follow. Don't worry so much about your close ratio being inordinately higher from the average of good close ratios. Just achieve a good close ratio, and once you've accomplished that, the next phase is how can I work more? How can I see more people? How can I complete more presentations? Because what happens in this business of selling insurance usually is that as you scale your lead flow up, your business model doesn't change that much. It just means you're doing more of the same. And so if you're doing more of the same presentations with the same leads, it's likely your close ratios will follow at the same percentage, which means that's how you really increase your income. And that really is a lot easier than trying to find out how to go from a 25% close ratio to a 50% close ratio. That is exceptionally hard, and then therefore a lot easier if you want to make more money, just do more work. Number 3, I wish I accepted the bad that comes with this business. So one of the things that a lot of new entrepreneurs don't really understand is that every single business model has good features and bad features. And I think a lot of us in the guru space, I guess you could say, perpetuate this, right? Like you get on YouTube, you see all these MLM insurance agencies that show you their cars, their watches, they tell you how much money they're making. You go to their social profiles, they're traveling everywhere, everybody's happy, everything's wonderful, and they put this whole facade up of the life of perfection. But the reality is that if that is even true, there is an intense grind and sacrifice that has to follow along with all the shots of perfection. So what I mean by this is that every single business that you get into, in the insurance business or any business, you're going to have bad things associated with it. It's not just money and success. There's a sacrifice. There's a price to pay. And there's going to be some inherent things about the business that are hard to deal with. I was listening to a friend at Jiu-Jitsu the other day, and he is in a manufacturer's rep space, and he was griping about the engineers he has to try to sell. They're all highly analytical, come up with their own opinions, and are hard to get them to agree and coalesce around an idea. And that's the bad side of his business, although the great side of his business makes a lot of money helping businesses engineer whatever they do. Likewise, in the insurance business, you got the same thing. What are some of the bad things you're going to have to accept? You're going to have to work long hours. You probably are going to have to work hours after normal business hours have ended. You're probably going to deal with clients who, guess what, change their mind and cause chargebacks. You're probably going to have great weeks of upside growth and terrible weeks where nobody buys nothing and you're wondering if you've lost your mojo. This is the essence of what it means to be a business owner, to ride the waves up and ride the waves down. But the thing is, guys, there's some elements of this business you're not going to change. They're like people are going to cancel their policies. You're going to deal with rude people. And instead of being frustrated and letting that get to you and damage your mindset, the best thing you can do is be mature and accept that this is a fact of life, that this is just how the business is. And once you realize that you should accept it, there's a beauty in this sense because you realize that other people won't. They'll fight against quixotically the ability to try to get rid of this idea that you can have your cake and eat it too, that you can experience a business and the money flow without the risks or the problems that are associated with it. And those are the kind of agents that invariably end their career before it even starts, that they flush out of the system. This is why I quit prematurely when I first started in the business. I was only looking for the good side and I hated the bad side. And when I had success in this business, it's when I realized that the bad is just endemic. It's a part of the system. You can't create a system that doesn't have weaknesses or flaws or bottlenecks. And the better thing to do, the more mature thing to do, is accept that. Because as soon as you do and just say, hey, that's just how it is, well, then you can focus on, well, where can I actually magnify my success, such as scaling up like we talked earlier. So long story short, guys, understand there's good and bad with everything in life. That's the mature adult perspective. Please don't bring a childish perspective that you're just going to make money and it's not going to be hard. You're going to be very disappointed if that's the perspective you bring in. Number 4, I wish I worked passive income streams into my business sooner. So one of the beautiful things the insurance business can provide you is the ability to build a passive stream of income. Again, you can make a lot of money in a lot of different insurance products like life insurance or annuities, but the problem with those products is that as soon as you stop working, the commission stops coming in. Yeah, sometimes there's trails or residuals, but nobody gets all excited about a couple of bucks a month in residuals. What I wish I would have done earlier, maybe 6 or 12 months in, with good guidance and direction, was gotten into the Medicare side of the business. For me, I started in the final expense business. Everybody I saw basically was a final expense and Medicare prospect. So I could have gone back to those clients, cross-sold Medicare, and slowly but surely built a residual stream of income. I'm so passionate nowadays when it comes to talking about products like Medicare, building a somewhat residual stream of income, because the true beauty of this business and selling insurance and the freedom I got was when I developed my agency. Now, I didn't go the Medicare route from a sales standpoint. I decided a couple of years in to go the agency building route, and it took many years, but I've gotten to the point where all of my income comes in from overrides, thanks to my agents who go out there and diligently work, and I make a small percentage of their action. I'm able to do other things besides grind it out 60 plus hours a week. And that freedom is much more accessible, I believe, not so much on the agency side, which is great if you can nail it down, but there's a lot of pitfalls and a lot of failure. But I think the Medicare side of the business is the best opportunity, ACA as well, to build a stream of residual income to where you don't have to work constantly. You can live a lifestyle, not just working constantly, and do other things, have other hobbies, and enjoy life otherwise outside of work. So again, for me, one of the big pushes we do at DeFord Insurance Group is for agents who join to sell final expense. We're always kind of reminding them, hey, you need to be thinking not just making money today, but building a career based off of multiple streams of income, specifically in the Medicare space, to build a passive level of income, because that's when life becomes super cool, where you can make money without worrying if next month you're going to have any, because there's always that consistent lifetime stream of income coming in. Number 5, I wish I didn't use insurance sales as a creative outlet. So this is kind of an interesting look back as far as a regret goes. I am a naturally creative person. I'm entrepreneurial. I love work. I love business. It's just kind of like what I'm good at. But the problem in the insurance business is when you bring a sense of creativity into it within the sales side of things, you start to make what's simple complicated. For example, I talked about earlier how I created a lead piece. The lead piece did make some sales that I employed at really probably the worst time. I didn't have any money. It was maxed out on credit cards. But it wasn't nearly as good as the same tired, boring old direct mail leads that we used back then that we still use today. And my point is that the insurance sales business is so simple, it's complicated. It's easy to get confused if you allow yourself to do so. The business really comes down to a couple of things. You have to have enough leads. You have to have a good sales strategy to get in front of those and close them. And you've got to have work ethic to constantly fill the pipeline full of prospects and presentations every week if you want to have short and long-term success. Anything outside of that is a deviation. What if we come up with a brand new lead program? What if we deviate from purchasing leads? Or what if we modify the sales script to do this or that? These things may or may not work, but we know what does work, so you should apply yourself to those things that do work with the required amount of activity and discipline to consistently execute it. And that's the thing, is that a lot of people have intelligence that come into this business and start applying that intelligence and creativity towards this business when really it doesn't require that at all. It really requires, if anything, to shut your brain down and just execute the strategy that's taught, and then allow your creativity to go somewhere else. Like for me, probably the best outlet in getting outside of my own mind in the insurance space was going into jiu-jitsu or weight training or finding other creative outlets to employ my creativity, because I wouldn't have to think too hard about selling. I would just do what I was told. But because I didn't do that earlier on, I'd like looked at the business and tried to think as an engineer would about how can I make it better? How can I improve it? When the business doesn't really need that. It just needs you to go out there and do the thing. And really, as a new agent, that's what you should start with. Not saying that there's no room for creativity, but you should just learn first to discipline yourself. That's really a most important attribute of good entrepreneurs is discipline and consistent execution. Because a lot of people come into this, these wannabe entrepreneurs, thinking they can upend the system, but don't have the work ethic necessary to make it happen. Again, the last thing I'll say is really a reminder of the beginning. Look, guys, don't have regrets in life. I put these videos together because I think it provides perspective on mistakes that I've made, but more importantly than making or avoiding mistakes is learning how to not repeat them again and learning the implied lesson that's in every mistake that you make. Again, I think of all of these things that I've done, like deviate from the system, thinking too hard about the business, not working passive income streams into my system earlier. These are all important lessons in my life to draw me to where I am today. I don't regret any of this, and I think that's an important mindset to have, is that we're all going to make mistakes. Guys, don't think that you're going to avoid making mistakes. That is the essence of being human. What makes us different and gives us the opportunity for success is what do we do from those experiences of mistakes? Do we look at them and get angry? Do we build resentment? Do we suck the limited energy that we have, creating anger and frustration that really results in nothing accomplished? Or do we look at these mistakes as opportunities? Can we turn a mistake, a screw up, a failure in the business into something incredible? I'm firsthand experience that can happen. And if you change your mind and perspective about things, you won't regret the mistakes that you're going to make. Again, when you make the mistakes, you will. First of all, embrace it. It's part of being who you are. But really get excited because the mistakes in that moment are kernels of opportunity that will grow into something maybe even bigger and better than you ever imagined. So don't worry about making mistakes. Try not to, but understand that you're human. They're going to happen. And really, ultimately, mistakes are a good thing to help you grow into a better person. I hope you enjoyed today's training. If you'd like to learn more, go to daviddufour.com/FAQ about joining my agency, and thanks so much. Bye.